And that's it. We are on the internet. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. Fantastic. So this is, I think, a long time coming, because I wanted you to do this since I had the idea of doing this.
Yes.
You were like one of my first people that I was like, the whole point of doing this is to have Keri Morrison on the show. Like that's literally it was created to have you here. Yeah. It's been a however long, 3 months long scheme.
Yeah, it was right before our race.
Right.
And it was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it right now.
So I've been pretending to do it with other people for 3 months just to get to this point. So after this is it. This is our last one.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we'll have you on and we'll just call it quits. We're finished. So, Live Like Jake?
Yes.
Can you tell us about Live Like Jake?
Yes. So we created Live Like Jake. Geez, it's been over 4 years now. After Jake lost his life to a drowning accident, we were visiting family for the Thanksgiving holiday and had come in for the evening, and I was caring for our 3-month-old, and Jake was playing just in the other room with his cousins and 3 adults, and he walked right out their back door, and we think it was to push his baby stroller because they did find it in the water, and that's what he was doing earlier in the day on the dock. And so he fell in and lost his life to a drowning. Forever.
Right.
Forever changing our lives.
Absolutely. And so how long after that did you start Live Like Jake?
It was probably about 6 or 8 months. We started right away with the whole Live Like Jake, being a better person type thing with the logo and the saying Live Like Jake. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't for about 5 months when Julia started her ISR lessons that we started seeing.
That's your other daughter?
Yes. Sorry. Julia was 3 months when Jake passed away. And I had heard of ISR. A couple of my friends have done it with their children. We chose the traditional swim route with Jake. And I immediately told my family, like literally the next day, Julia will be doing those lessons when she's old enough.
Sure.
And I reached out to Stacy, who is their instructor, and said, can you please do these lessons when Julia's old enough? And Stacy had actually gone to school with my older sister, so she knew of the situation. And
you knew Stacy?
I did not know Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah, but my sister did, and she also instructed one of my friends' children. So anyway, so Julia started at 8 months, and it was only a couple weeks into it that we decided to go that route with Live Like Jake, to raise awareness for childhood drowning prevention, and knowing that these lessons can be expensive, making sure that not only everyone knows about the program, but that everyone can participate whether they can afford it or not.
So what's the story behind the name?
It was the week that we were planning Jake's funeral. My sister-in-law said that she was going to be more like Jake. She was going to live like Jake. She was going to be open-hearted and just see life through the eyes of a child. You know, they're pure hearts, and they're just innocent and fun, just have fun.
And creative geniuses.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's born a genius.
Yes,
they learn not to be. Yeah.
So that's just really how it had started. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we had no idea we would really go into that realm of it. But once I was in it and seeing, that it was the number one cause of accidental death in children ages 1 to 4, mm-hmm. my pediatrician at the time never spoke about that, never spoke about swim lessons and drowning prevention. And so that's really just my mission is, the pain of losing a child is, you can't even describe it.
Right.
And you wish it on no one. Mm-hmm. And it's really what fuels my fire, because I just don't want other parents, to feel this pain, especially when it's something preventable.
No, of course. And I mean, I think I've heard you say before that you were the safety mom. That if a pediatrician had told you, there's a good chance that you would have taken some kind of action.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wish that I had someone like myself in my face back then, because I feel like I would have listened to that crazy person, talking about it all the time and talking about ISR and what the difference is between survival swim lessons and traditional swim lessons. There's a major difference. Jake fell in the water. It was chilly out. It was November in New Smyrna, so he fell in with, heavy pants, a fleece jacket, a diaper. He was still in diapers, mm-hmm. shoes. So even had he learned to swim, even though he didn't in those 5 weeks, it still wouldn't have saved him.
Right.
He fell into open water, fully clothed. The
Right.
only thing that would have saved him, well, first of all, a lot of the barriers failed, but, would have been that last barrier, knowing how to roll back and float.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he was in the water for 30 seconds or 2 minutes, because I was in the other room, and it was pitch dark out. So when I heard those words, "Where's Jake?" Knowing, I knew he was in the water. He was not one to hide. So, knowing I couldn't save him and couldn't even see, it's really hard. Really hard.
What do you wish the pediatricians had told you?
I wish they just would have said, hey, this is the number one cause of accidental death in children ages 1 to 4. Swim lessons, are important, but they're not enough. Your child needs, ISR is everywhere in our county. It's
Right.
not everywhere they're in over 40 states.
Sure.
But there's, 10 instructors in Palm Beach County.
Right.
This is something that this, pediatrician could have recommended. They don't even have to recommend a certain instructor. It's just go to infantswim.com, put in your zip code, see if this program is right for you. It may not be right, for every parent. But that's what I encourage people. If it's not right for you, still at least make sure whatever program you put your child in, they teach them to survive. That, it's not, like I said, it's not just about swimming or swimming to a wall. Jake had no wall,
Right.
So that's really what is important. I just wish they would have talked about it. I go back and I think, because I'm no longer at that office, I am with a new office, and they are amazing. That is on their questionnaire.
That's cool.
It's number like 8 or 9 on their questionnaire.
Sure.
Does your child does survive in the water? They don't even ask, do they know how to swim? They even ask if you have a pool. If yes, is it secured by a fence? Those are
Right.
the types of things that these pediatricians should be talking about. And I remember so clearly in this office, because, you wait for a while for them to come in.
Right.
And there was one little thing taped on their cabinets, and it was about rear-facing car seats, that you should do that until they're 2 years old. That's it. That's the only thing in there about safety. And it wasn't even like it was framed, it was just taped up there.
Right.
So right next to it, there could have been something taped up about
Pool safety or water prevention.
anything. Anything. Can we talk about the survey since
absolutely,
we're
please.
going that route? So we are about less than a week into a survey that we have put out there, and as of this morning, I've had 756 responses.
That's crazy.
Which is great. I want to
Yeah.
get to at least 1,000. So if you want to partake, it is on our Facebook page, Live Like Jake. But we asked if their pediatrician has ever discussed water safety and the importance of swim lessons. 77% said no.
That's wild. That's so insane.
That's
Because I had honestly thought that was the case a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I had thought that we had made so much gains, and it was pool safely, and everything the National Drowning Prevention Alliance was doing, and just all the awareness out there. I thought for sure that it had, we had reached kind of a national saturation.
And this is a national survey. Right. And I want to say only 14% were in Palm Beach County, and 20% were Florida. The rest is all over. Because I did ask the states. I didn't bring all that, that data. Once we're done, we'll put everything out on the
right, then you
website
can figure out
so
if it's
people
better
can
in Florida
see.
or
But we also asked, would you consider talking to your pediatrician about water safety at your next visit, and let them know that you think they should discuss it early on? And 86% said yes.
Right, of course.
So I'm hoping.
Right, once you've been brought attention to that, they're not mentioning it.
I'm hoping that these people will now turn around and go to their pediatrician and say, you need to talk about this.
Absolutely.
We also asked if their pediatrician has asked them whether or not they have a pool or they live on the water. 76% said no. Why is that not a questionnaire? Why are they not asking?
And they ask literally everything else.
Everything else.
Yeah.
Is there a gun in the home? Is there,
Right.
And this is the leading cause. So we're not talking about something that's
some
rare.
Esoteric. Yeah.
This is the leading cause. And I truly believe it's the leading because it's not discussed enough.
And we probably don't even have all of the data. The numbers on the number of kids who drown fatally or non-fatally is probably higher than it really is.
Yeah, it's impossible getting
right.
statistics and good data, which is why I've started doing these surveys, just to try to get something to share.
Yeah, because, kids fall in the water and then 6 months later they pass away and they call it a lung infection. And it's not counted as a drowning.
Gotcha.
So I think the numbers are actually a lot higher than even we think they are.
Which is scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, out of that 70s, the about asking if they lived on the water, so the 24% that said yes, that their doctor has asked them. We then asked, did they ask if it was secured by a fence? 64% said no. So, if you ask if they have that,
right,
it should be 100% should have asked, is it secured by a fence or alarms or whatever?
Because they all asked you about your car seat. Right, they all asked, about immunizations, and medical history, and probably stuff that's far less common than drowning. I honestly, I'm not surprised in water safety very often, but that is legitimately surprising.
Yeah, and as because I've been watching this survey, and that 77% that said no, it's been 75% the entire time. So it's not like it's like jumped up, or it's literally been like that the entire time. We did ask, what was the leading cause of accidental death in children ages 1 to 4?
Right.
And 96% did say drowning.
Right. Well, they're also on the Live Like Jake Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2% said choking, and 2% said, car accidents.
Right.
We also asked that, do they feel the number of drownings would go down if the pediatricians talked about it early on? And 90% said yes.
Right. Of course.
So clearly,
right.
If they think that, I think something can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a massive. There should be. You're right. I'm going to figure out a way to target more of my stuff directly to pediatricians.
Yeah.
That seems to be a good way to hit. If you hit one pediatrician, you reach 100 families, right?
Yeah.
So,
we have posters too that we have drawn up there, about the ISR lessons. They have our logo on there, and that's another thing that people, maybe don't know, is that we offer scholarships for these lessons.
So for anyone who doesn't know, what is the difference between traditional swim lessons and survival swim lessons like ISR?
The main difference is the survival part of it. A lot of the traditional swim lessons just maybe teach them to get to the wall and climb out. So ISR teaches, and it depends on the child. So if they're under a year, maybe 14 months old, they're just taught to roll back and float, just mainly just save themselves. They're not, capable of swimming. Anything over that, they're taught to swim, float, swim. Once they're skilled, and that's another misconception, I think people feel like these babies are just thrown in the water fully clothed. Once they're skilled, then they're put in their winter clothes and their summer clothes, and they practice with that until they can complete that task. Right. Like I said with Jake, he was fully clothed. 88% of children actually that fall in the water are fully clothed. It's an accident. It's not,
because most kids aren't near the pool. They're thought to be inside the house or.
Correct. And so that's the big difference, I think, between ISR and other survival swim programs, is that they're taught to do this in their clothes as well. On top of all of the medical questions that are asked. So if your kid has any allergy, they're going to know about it. The instructor's going to know about it. Peanut allergies obviously is a big one. If they've ever had any seizures, or really strict protocols, and sometimes you can't even do the lessons because of that. So there's a lot of the medical side, that goes into it, and also the psychology with these lessons. They're 5 days a week, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks, 10 minutes. That's all. 10 minutes a day. And it's all just about that muscle memory. And clearly I'm not an expert on these lessons. I know enough about it because my children have gone through the program, but it's just a big difference.
Right. And so the main idea is that they're trying to get them to roll over and float.
Yes.
And then eventually...
to yell for help.
And then eventually roll over, float, swim, roll over and float.
Correct.
Swim. Right.
But... with Jake, like I said, I don't know if he was in the water 30 seconds or 2 minutes, but that not knowing, and not giving him that opportunity to, by that, if he would have started as a baby like my other two, by that time at his age, he would have gone through it probably 3 times with refreshers and so forth. So knowing that I could have potentially saved his life eats me up.
Sure.
you just don't want, you don't want other parents to go through that. And a lot of other parents think, well, I watched my kid and this is never going to happen. And we get that a lot, you know. And especially if you have more than one child, even if you think you can watch your child 24 hours a day, you really can't. But when you have more than one, there's 2 of them, 3 of them, you can't.
Yeah. You only have one set of eyes, you know.
It's it's impossible.
Right. In fact, I always say that the parents who say, I always watch my kids, I don't need that, those scare me way more than the ones who say, you know, I have a hard time and I need everything I can get.
Because what if something happens to the parent, right?
Sure.
That they need to be hospitalized.
Right.
Somebody else is watching their children.
Sure.
Or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, you have to go to the bathroom.
You have to sleep at some point.
You have to cook. You have to do laundry. You have to clean. You have to sleep. There's all these things that you have to do. So it's physically impossible to watch your children 24/7. And Jake was a extremely cautious child. I mean, he had just, at almost 3 years old, started to go down the slide like the normal way instead of on his tummy, feet first. Like he had a healthy respect for the water. He grew up basically boating every weekend. Was never the child. He didn't care about pools. He, you know, just, so if it can happen to a child like that,
right,
it can happen to
anybody.
Yeah. You know, anybody. Because like I said, he was not that child. And I hear that a lot from parents, like, oh, I got to get him in lessons. You know, he just jumps right in the water, has no fear. Right. Those are the ones that really scare me.
Yeah,
but, you know, but that was not Jake. He was not a rambunctious, typical little boy.
I feel like I beat this dead horse all the time now, but you know, and there's a video going around now of kids getting into, I think it was makeup in this case.
Yes.
There's a bunch of kids covered in makeup, right? And my first thought was, you know, if those kids had time to do that, the parents are just lucky they didn't choose to go outside.
Yes.
You know, unless they had a pool fence.
We have all had that moment.
Everybody, right?
Where you're like, where, you know, and they could even be right behind you. Like for me, like even though my kids are 3 and almost 5, I have to have eyes on them like at all times. I feel like some of my friends probably don't want to do anything with me because literally this is me the entire time. Right. I mean, even if I know your house is, you know, kid friendly, it's still, if I don't have eyes on my kids, which is still even impossible, but even, you know, we have all had those moments when you're in a store and they're hiding behind a clothing, whatever, you know, and you're just lucky that it just happened to be they were 5 feet away from you or here or there. You're, you know, it's just, you know, I'd like for a parent to tell me they've never had one moment of where's.
And then they tell you a funny story about them painting a crayon mural on the wall.
Exactly.
Or, you know,
they had time to do that.
Yeah. Or they're covered in, you know, flour or whatever it is, you know.
Well, I had done another survey with parents that have been directly affected by a drowning. And we have gotten 142 responses. I would like more, but that's still 142 parents that have either lost a child or their child had a non-fatal
of
drowning.
rather specific niche.
56% of these were fatal. 78% were in pools. Obviously, you're in that bit, you know. So 78% were in pools, 13% were in open water. Under 1 years old, 2%. 1 year, 24%. 2 years old, 27%. 3 years old, 16%, and 4 years old, 11%, totaling 80%. Right. So 80% of these drownings were 4 and under.
Which it mirrors the CPSC
Exactly.
data. Yeah.
Exactly. And what gets me is some people think, well, they're going to wait till 4 years old for swim lessons.
Well, that's what the American Academy of Pediatrics
used to say.
Right.
Yeah, now they say 1, but you know.
They were about ear infections.
But there's still people that are, you know, hung up on those. Well, they're not ready. Oh, yes, they are. Right. They are ready. Yeah. And if you wait, 80% is 4 and under. So that's what gets me. It's like, don't wait till they're 4 or 5.
We used to say back in the 80s and 90s when that was a thing, you know, that most kids drown before they reach 5. Yeah. So if you wait to 5, there's a good chance they might not make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like most kids have drowned by then.
Exactly. And so another question we had asked was, did your child rely on a flotation device? And 67% said yes. So by that's either a life jacket, puddle jumpers, floaties, which can be dangerous. Sure. You know, it gives children a false sense of security. I know people have heard this, you know, over and over again, but we did ask for the ones that had said yes, were they wearing it the day of their accident, either before or during? 20% said yes.
Wow.
So then we had asked
So I mean,
them,
that answers the question, because I get a lot of people say, like, we hear that puddle jumpers and floaties are dangerous. Why are they dangerous? And I cite that as one of the reasons, that they take them off.
So I wanted to read a few of these, if that's
please.
okay, because we asked if they said yes to please explain.
Okay.
Went out unaccompanied to an aunt's pool. Float was taken off to eat lunch. Child jumped in thinking he'd float without it. We were at the beach. He was wearing a puddle jumper. I took it off so he could play in the sand more comfortably. He ran to the water before I could catch him and went under. Had them on, all went inside, then went out to the garage door, and he went back in the pool. We were leaving the pool, and he took it off. He wore it and was taken off to dry him off. He then got back into the pool without it on, thinking he could swim. It was a puddle jumper. Took it off to go to the restroom and forgot he didn't have it on, jumped back in the pool. Had life jacket on, took it off. He was wearing it when it was time to play in the pool, but he took it off when we were getting ready to go home. I hear this all the time. My twins have been swimming all day with our family. We all went inside, gave them a bath. They were getting ready for bed, walked out of the room, and they went outside without us seeing. Another child had left the gate open to the pool, and they got in the pool without the puddle jumpers on. We found them lifeless and floating, but were able to do CPR and revive them. They had no lasting effects, thankfully.
Wow.
She was swimming with it at a family function. When a family member was gathering the kids to dry them off to go inside, she snuck back into the pool gate. So another one, that this important as pool fences are,
right.
They fail as well
Sure.
because of human error, right?
Right.
They get propped open.
Gates left open. Yeah.
He had a puddle jumper on all morning. He went inside for lunch, went out through the doggy door unnoticed, and got into the pool.
I talk about doggy doors a lot too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He had it on when it was taken off for dinner and went back in without it on. I was setting up and planning on putting puddle jumpers on him. So I hear this a lot. So that's why when people either have them on their children or say, I don't see what's wrong with them, this is what's wrong with them.
Right.
You can tell your kid until you're blue in the face, you cannot go in the water without this on.
Sure.
You can't swim with it on. And as much as you think they understand that, they don't.
Right.
They don't. A 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they don't understand that.
Sure.
Or they can simply just fall in. They can go around the pool, and still fall in. It's just, and I hear that a lot about the taking it off to eat.
Right.
They go in to eat or something, get distracted, and that's when the child goes back into the water.
Right, because they weren't done yet.
Or they take them off, too.
Right.
They can slip out of them. I was at a pool one time, this kid was running around, and it was like literally almost on their waist. And I'm like, then I watched the sibling, because they were watching my kids swim so well. I watched she was maybe 8, 10 years old, and she was in charge of this child.
Oh,
the
great.
dad was sleeping. Because, of course, now I'm watching this child.
Sure.
And I watched her take it off. And I thought, oh, man, that is not a good idea. And within 10 minutes, the father comes around, says, don't ever do that again, puts it back on, and then goes back to sit down. And I actually went over to him and brought my girls over there, explained what had happened, and said, you can't do that. You have to, if you're going to use those, you have to be by your child.
Sure.
And I wasn't trying to lecture him. I was just
Right.
trying to, save this guy from the pain that, that I deal with. And he's like, yeah, she's the youngest of 8, so we kind of just let her do her thing. I'm thinking, it doesn't matter. It does not make her immune to a drowning.
Right.
So I just sometimes hearing those stories. I mean, these are actual children that either drowned or, had a drowning accident and survived, which, usually that's not the outcome.
Right. Or if they do survive, there's some kind of permanent damage.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so then we asked, where was the accident? 35% were at home, 30% were at a family or a friend's home. So there's 65% of these drownings somewhere where you feel comfortable, right? Either your home or a family member's home. 68% never had swim lessons. 71% the parent was present. 71%, that's a pretty high number.
Right.
Then we asked them if they have a pool right now. 22% said yes. Then we asked if it was yes, is it fenced? 28% still said no.
Really?
Which I would like that to be.
That's amazing.
Well, some of them were, it's a above ground pool or, they have this and that. But, we did this anonymously.
Right,
so
sure.
I can't really go back
Find
to
them. Yeah.
But we then asked at the end of the survey if they wanted to share their story.
Sure.
So if it's okay, I
Yeah,
would like
please.
to share a few of the, because I think sometimes it takes for people to hear these stories for it to resonate. My daughter drowned in a lake of a pond while attending daycare. There was no one watching the 5 children while the provider stepped away for a long phone call. So here's one of those instances, the parent wasn't there.
Right.
And so obviously they shouldn't have been near, an open body of water near a daycare, but whoever was providing for her child stepped away. My son went through a doggy door to reach for a ball, moved to a new place, and she played with the ball and went after into the pool. My 20-month-old drowned in my brother's fish pond, knee, hip, deep, high. He had never been swimming before or had any experienced water besides bath time. The dog sitter left the fence open. We just returned from vacation where she had been jumping in a pool with a puddle jumper on. She went out and jumped in. I didn't find her for almost 5 minutes. She fought for 10 days. We removed support and donated her organs. My 11-and-a-half-month-old son drowned in a toilet at home with his dad. And that's another thing that, toilets can be extremely dangerous for the children under 1. We had a pool with a gate on it, but the gate had been propped open with a rock. We're not sure who did it. We weren't out in the pool area often, and it was down the hill away from our house. We didn't notice that the gate had been propped open. It's possible it was the real estate company taking photos because our house was on the market to be sold. Early in the morning, our son got out of his crib, went through a locked sliding glass door that he had never tried to open before. We're not sure how he unlocked it. He went down to the pool and somehow fell in, drowned while we slept. We woke up at 8:30, startled and surprised. He had not woken us up yet. We searched for him, and when we went to the back patio, we saw him in the pool. We did CPR, and he was transported to the hospital, but he died. He was our only child. That one really, really got to me because, that's what happens sometimes with pool service companies. Sure. Anyone that doesn't have a child or doesn't resonate with them, they may prop the door open for their convenience, not thinking about whether you have a child or not.
And they don't realize that they're life-saving devices that they're messing with.
And this child went through a locked door that he had climbed out of his crib.
Right.
And went, so this is what is proof that...
It's the worst-case scenario.
Yeah. And if a child wants out, sometimes they just figure it out.
Right, while people are sleeping.
And they had the layers of protection, right? Except for the swim lessons. Yeah. Who knows whether it would have saved this child because we don't know how long he was in the water. Sure. But... doors and locks they had that failed. The pool fence. I mean, it just... And they were sleeping. I mean, let's get real. People have to sleep.
Yeah, at some point.
There was no negligence, on their behalf. 17-month-old slipped out of the back door with his older brother unnoticed, giving them full access to our unprotected backyard above-ground pool. Moments later, he was removed. 911 called and CPR started, but it was too late. My husband and I went out of town for the night, and our son and daughter were staying with family. They had an above-ground pool. We are still not sure what happened. He wandered off, and they found him in the pool. Drowned in a private swim club pool with lifeguards present. Pool fence was accidentally left open by the pool cleaner.
You did a lot.
Mm-hmm. We did not have a self-closing gate. Daddy was in the bathroom. Mommy was not at home. Twin sister did not go outside. Daddy found her, did CPR. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. And that is just a few
you have a bunch,
of these stories. So this is what I see on a daily basis.
Right.
And really fuels my fire to continue to educate, provide these swim lessons, these scholarships. We're at 400 this year so far. Bringing us to maybe 1,100, I think.
Yeah, so talk about that. How does that work? So, explain it from the beginning for anybody who doesn't know.
Okay. Well, our application's on our website, livelikejake.com. We ask first that you do go to infantswim.com. You put in your zip code to ensure that there's an instructor in your area. We also ask that you reach out to them to make sure they're still in the water and that, they have time frames available for you. Then you just go to our website. We have an application there. You fill that out, return it with the required documentations, get an approval within usually about a week. And, we do ask the parents, what can you afford? So there are full scholarships and there's partial scholarships. It really just depends on what the family can afford. We also offer full scholarships for any family that's been directly affected by a drowning. So if you've lost a child, we will scholarship the siblings. Mm-hmm. If your child survived and had a hospital stay, we will scholarship them as well and any siblings they have. As long as there's ISR in the area, right. We will. It's an automatic thing for us.
Yeah, and we've started doing the fences with you as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. And we have had, I would say this year, at least 10, maybe 12 scholarships this year of families that have been directly affected, whether it's the sibling or the child themselves. So that's good because that means we're reaching more parents that way that now understand, about ISR. And I feel like once they go through the program and they see whether it could have potentially saved the life of their child or avoided the accident that their child might have had if they're the ones in the lessons, they end up becoming advocates for drowning prevention. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is the way we can really start to make a difference. Getting the pediatricians on board and talking about it at every visit, starting at, I'd say they could start at 6 months, but if they don't want to start at 6 months, at least at 1 year, and just parents just sharing it on social media is so huge. Here we are on Facebook right now. Continue to share, talk, tag people. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your cousins, talk to your family members. If you don't want to talk to them directly, just send them to our website or any of the other websites. There's a lot of great families out there that have nonprofits like Live Like Jake that do a lot of good in their area and nationwide. So,
I keep going back to the pediatrician thing because I didn't think it was going to be that high. I think you're right. If people, can, bring it to their pediatrician's attention, I can't imagine they would ignore that. If enough parents start asking their pediatrician, why aren't you telling me about water safety? Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can affect some kind of change.
Yeah, and we're gonna work it more. Like I said, we had these posters, and we did get that into quite a few pediatricians locally. We actually redesigned our brochure to be a little bit more about water safety with the layers of protection and survival swim lessons, a little bit of Jake's story, a little bit about what we do. We're also trying to get those into daycares. We've probably been into about 10 of them so far. There's a lot in Palm Beach County. I was hoping to get a lot more done this summer, but we've been extremely overwhelmed with scholarships, which is a good thing. But that's still going to be our main focus too, is getting these brochures into daycares and to pediatricians' offices. Any waiting room where there may be, any of these indoor play parks or anything where there's a lot of parents, libraries. I really would like to get our brochures there. And then, nationwide as well. But, obviously.
Start here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any questions? Anybody?
I was just trying to pull it up on here.
That's all right.
ISR Sheila says, thank you for all that you do. So does Paul DeMello. Everybody's just saying thank you for spreading what you're doing and staying strong.
What are you going to do with the survey when you're quote unquote done?
I'll post it on social media, and then we're going to draft a letter that we will get out to every single pediatrician's office, and just with the importance of it and the results. Maybe it takes for them to see that.
See data, it's actual data.
Wow, well, 90% and 70. I need to talk about this more.
Right.
We also did ask if they said yes to that their pediatrician has talked to them about it. Give us their name. We want to send them something positive.
Sure.
Tag them on Facebook. Send them a letter stating, hey, thank you for doing what you're doing. And by the way, we offer scholarships. I'm starting to get that now on our applications. Like, how did you hear about our scholarships? I'm starting to see a few of those local saying pediatrician, pediatrician. So that's good. That means that's starting to work. That's hopefully that letter will do something. I don't know. We just have to try everything. So we will post the results so other people can share. And then I ask everyone that's watching or that did say yes, that I would be interested in talking to my pediatrician. Bring them those results when I post that, or just flat out talk to them about it and just say, hey, I think you need to be talking about this, because it's the leading cause. Again, it's not like we're talking about something that's, 2% of accidental death. It's the leading cause. I am happy to say that in Palm Beach County, we've only had one drowning that I know of, and one 13-year-old and one 4-year-old, which obviously that's too many.
Sure.
But we average 6 to 7 a year, and we're in July, right. So I'm hoping that that's having to do with everything that we're trying to do and the events that we're at, and pushing it with the water safety, but just keep talking about it. Like I said, I'm just one person. Right. We need everyone out there to continue to talk about it, and don't be afraid to talk to your sister about maybe her child, or your neighbor, or your for your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. Just keep talking about it.
So speaking of events, what do you guys have coming up?
We actually have our first dinner fundraiser.
Right, I'm going to that.
We're very excited, yes. Yeah. It's called Be the Light, and it's September 29th.
I don't do the walk, so when I saw there was a dinner, I'm like, I can eat. I can definitely do that.
Eat. It's going to be good food and open bar.
Right. That's even better.
But it will be limited seating, so we haven't really released the tickets to the public yet. We're just trying to get our sponsors and our tables and so forth, and then we'll be releasing it. It'll be on our website and obviously on Facebook. So that's... We also still have our watermelons for water safety going on right now. It's the entire month of July. It could even go into August. You can go to our website at livelikejake.com and on the events tab. And it's really just anywhere around the nation. Your child can host a watermelon stand, and the proceeds go to Live Like Jake. And it's twofold. It's to raise the funds, but it's also to raise the awareness. It gets these kids talking to other kids and other families about drowning prevention. And
I visited Jen at her swim school, and she had the cupcakes all set up.
Yes, that was awesome. We do have a lot of the instructors that have their own.
Yeah.
But you can. It's still not too late, to sign up, and it really is, like I said, a great event, to raise the money, but also to raise the awareness, which is, what I try to be about.
Sure, absolutely. So you've got the dinner coming up.
Yeah.
And what's kind of your goal with the dinner? Just to raise awareness, to raise funds?
Both, yes. It's always about awareness, but it also is about funds, because, these scholarships, obviously,
sure.
We have to pay for them.
Right.
Another part of Live Like Jake is we also help families with funeral and medical expenses. Okay. There's a lot of people don't talk about the ones that survive that have the brain damage. Mm-hmm. For everyone that dies, there's 5 more that are admitted, and that's not ER, that's admitted into the hospital, and usually about 50% of them have lasting effects. And there's therapies like hyperbaric chambers, there's Plasticity Brain does an awesome therapy that is not covered by insurance. Right. So we do help those families as well.
Yeah, I looked into the hyperbaric stuff once. It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But we do,
and apparently it works a lot of times, especially if the kids are young and it's quick.
So that would be really sad if you were a family that, couldn't afford that.
Sure.
And this is something that, could help your child.
Right.
You want to do whatever you can.
Absolutely.
So we will step in and help them as well. So, just...
That's awesome.
Keep plugging away.
Yeah. What was your background before?
Mom, no.
Oh, yeah.
I just had a lot of odds and ends, jobs, but at the time of Jake's accident, I did back office for an investment advisory firm remotely.
Very nice. Excellent. And now you do Live Like Jake full time now, essentially?
Yeah, 7 days a week.
Mom,
7 days. I'm up Saturday, 7, 6, 7 a.m. Sundays, every day. Yeah.
And then you have the run next year, right?
Yes, that's always Mother's Day weekend, and Abacoa. So next year is going to be our 5th annual. So we're very excited. It's one of those bittersweet things, because Jake's 5-year anniversary is coming up November 30th, and it feels like, some days it feels like it just happened.
Sure.
So to think that it was 5 years ago, it's tough.
Right.
But we're very proud that that's our biggest event. And we have over 1,400 participants, and that one's truly about the awareness, and we bring families in from all over that have suffered the loss or their child survived, and they bring the child to the race. It's very very inspiring to see that, and I feel like people leave there with the knowledge and want to go out and make sure their child's safe, but for me that's my baby. I work on that year round, and still working on the follow through from that, believe it or not.
Just everything else.
And then in a couple months, we start actually planning for next year.
The next one. Mm-hmm. Do you know when the next one is yet?
May 11th.
May 11th?
Yep. 2019.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It's already.
And I know people fly in from around the country for it.
Yes. We have instructors that come in from all over and families that come in. So every year, obviously we look to grow that, but it's just like I said, it's a very inspiring morning. Very short morning.
Yeah.
Starts at 7 and, although we're there at 4, starts at 7 and it's done by 10.
I didn't realize it was that quick.
Yeah.
That is very fast.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know last year, I think the last couple of years, Casey, who is our lifesaver in Palm Beach County, he's ran it, I think, and he's also...
Yes, he sets up a tent and sponsors. And, I cannot say enough good things about you guys at Lifesaver. I mean, not only for the fact that you donate these fences, but the awareness, just even doing this podcast every single week. And every day I feel like I see a sponsored ad from you guys and your hero, spotting the heroes. And, I know that you're doing it because it's in your heart and because you want to make a difference. And you are making a difference. I know you are.
Well, thank you.
And I really have the utmost respect for you guys and, share it whenever I can. And, so thank you for doing your part.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Is there anything else you want people to know?
I don't know. I talked quite a bit today, so they're probably done hearing from me.
It goes by quick.
Yeah. Just, like I said, just keep raising that awareness. Keep sharing the posts. Please share our survey. If you go to, Facebook, I still would like to get up to at least over 1,000 responses. If you have been directly affected by a drowning, I'm going to share that one again when I get home. So it'll be up at the top of our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Just they're easy. They're, and both of those are anonymous unless you want to leave your email address at the end for more information. I feel like once we can get enough of the data, we can use that to make a difference.
Right. Yeah, we'll share it and then we'll put a link to it in the comments too, so that people can find it.
Yeah, the more people that answer it, obviously the better the data is. So
and hopefully it's enough that doctors will see it and wake up to it.
I hope so. I mean,
if that's the result of the survey, I think that'll be huge. That would be huge.
I really truly believe in all my heart that if the pediatricians really started talking about this at an early age, that it will make a difference, and 90% of the other people believe so. So I think that, even with just 756 responses, that should be enough for a doctor to say, you know what, I'm going to talk about this more.
Yeah, absolutely.
They already have questionnaires anyways.
Right.
Just add it. Just add.
It's just one more line. And, they already ask about, you can't leave the hospital without a car seat. We have all these other safety provisions for things that aren't as fatal as drowning. Mm-hmm. So it just makes sense. It's just, it should be obvious.
Yes.
So I think it's a no-brainer. And hopefully when people see this, they'll make a change. Like I said, I had thought by now we had made headway with people in the community, doctors, pediatricians.
I do know a lot of the pediatricians in this area do talk about it.
Sure.
But not enough.
Especially ones you know.
Yeah, and every time there's a drowning, obviously my heart breaks.
Right.
But when they're in this county, it breaks even more, because for me, it's like, how did I not reach them?
Right.
What can I do? Last year, a little girl named Emma lost her life to a drowning, 15 months old. Immediately reached out to the family, visited their home within a few days, and she said she knew of ISAR.
Wow.
Couldn't afford it. Knew of Live Like Jake, but had no idea we offered scholarships. And that really resonated with me.
Sure.
It broke my heart. Like, how did she not know that? What can we do differently? And that's what really had me redo our brochure. And at the very, very top, that's what it says, scholarships available. So I want people to know that there is help for these lessons. Sure. Because I feel like, and we also offered a scholarship to her surviving daughter, who is 3 years old at the time. She filled out that application and was in those lessons within, I think I want to say a week, maybe 2 weeks. So this mother would, if she would have known that we had scholarships available, that little girl Emma would have been in those lessons. And I feel like she would have been alive today. So it's really, really affected me and has stayed with me. And I'm very good friends with their family and I love them dearly. But I feel like it's hard for me not to feel like I failed them somehow.
Right.
That she didn't know that we offered those, because I know that parent. I know she would have done the scholarship. So she tells me, you can't, but that's how I feel.
Right.
And really has been the driving force behind getting these redone and getting them into pediatrician. Anywhere there's a child,
sure.
I want to get those. So if also, that's the other thing, if you know of a daycare that would take our brochures, please reach out to me on, the Live Like Jake page. I'll be happy to bring them personally or mail them, or any place that has a waiting area that has children that you feel like they could be there. We'll even send the stand along with the brochures.
That's awesome. We have that story about Emma reminded me. We have a video. It's animated, and I had a dad message me on Facebook, and he said flat out, if I had seen this video, my daughter would be alive. And so now every summer we really try to make sure as many human beings as possible.
Yes. You guys are doing a great job with all of your advertising and your awareness. I mean, I definitely think it's making a difference.
I mean, hopefully, right? I mean, that's the tough thing about pool fences and the awareness is you never know about the kids who didn't die.
Yeah.
Right? You never know about the kid who
exactly
ran into the pool fence and then it's fine. Unlike alarms and stuff like that, or ISR even, you kind of get the story.
They have well over 1,000 documented cases where the child used their skills, and we actually have 3 of our scholarship recipients.
Wow.
That fell into the water.
That's that's really cool.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Just
anybody?
Just saying.
Good.
We love Keri.
Love you guys.
Yeah. So where can folks find you?
livelikejake.com.
Yep.
And facebook.com/livelikejake.
Awesome.
I'm kind of old school. We are on Instagram and Twitter. One of them's livelikejake3939, I think. But I do most of mine, unfortunatately, on Facebook. It's what I know. And it's, I think the demographic of what we're trying to reach, the parents and so forth. So, but we are on the other ones.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we've finally fulfilled the mission of this podcast, and that's it. I don't have to do this anymore. So,
Okay.
I can wrap it up.
No, keep going, because it's working.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you Wednesday. Bye.